me in the middle of a blowjob, a rather dusty one. I'm here this morning at the studio, and I've taken the clothes off of the Lowry Heritage Deluxe DSO-1 because I was just going to give it a bit of a clean up. It's been sitting here for 10 years and I thought I should do it. So that's what I'm doing. As you can see, oh God. As you can see, it's, as well as being a rather desirable all-valve tone generator organ, it's also very useful for storing your tools. Now, I did a video on this one maybe 2 years ago, and I think I said there that I was going to try and get it sorted out, and 2 years have gone past. But I thought I would give it a bit of a blowout with the old blower, and I found some quite interesting spiders in there, dead ones mainly, and it's got a lot more. There's a lot more valves in it than I actually first thought they were, because I've never really spent hours looking at it. But there's more down here. There's some down there. And there's these ones up here, which I did know about these up the top. But it's quite an interesting thing. If you look at the top of this here, we've got a pretty impressive all mechanical switch there. And that is for the, hang on a minute, that's the sustain for the manual, the upper manual, and it reminds me a bit of the controls in the Nova Chord, the Hammond Nova Chord, which were done with like completely mechanical cams and levers and things. There's another one, if I just lower the drawbridge here a second. Yes, there's another one here. There's this, as you may know, there's a chime effects, what do you call them? Stop that you pull out and can push in, which gives you a kind of like a strange chime effect. And if I just lift this up here, you can see that that is linked to this little pulley thing here, and that pulls up. When I pull that, it pulls up this huge array of contacts that interfere somehow with the keys above it, or the contacts on the keys above it. So that's quite impressive as well. I don't know how many contacts are on there, but anyway. So the idea with this today is to basically just give it a bit of a quick clean up, and then I need to redo the power supply on this, because this is one that I've not yet done. When I say redo, I mean just replace the electrolytic capacitors and fire it up and see if it catches fire. Look at these switches. Perfect design for dust. So they're going to get a bit of a spray in a minute. Unfortunately, I forgot my painter's brush, because I usually give it a good old brush with a little, like a nice sort of painter's brush. I've only got a dustpan and brush. That's probably not going to be any good. But I usually find for cleaning stuff like this, a nice sort of soft brush, and maybe you can get little pencils, which are fiberglass, and you can kind of use that to wipe muck off things. If you've got very stubborn muck, use a metal one, like a really abrasive one you can get down in most hardware shops. In fact, probably most of the tools I use come from my local hardware shop. My favourite tool, probably of all of them, and most versatile, is the metal scouring pad thing, which I shall show you here, in case you don't know. These things, which you get for doing the dishes or something or other, they usually sell them in the household cleaning section. But this is incredibly useful for most things, as long as you don't accidentally send some sort of current through it and then almost die. But I use it for getting the muck off the soldering iron, rather than using a wet sponge, which they usually say to use. You just use one of them and just sort of scrape it off on there, and you find that the solder tips last for 8.3 times longer. Oh. I need to probably turn this organ up on its side later, because I've got to look at the pedals, because I think the pedals is probably just the contacts are very dirty, and I'm probably going to replace all the capacitors on those, because I think this thing was in a damp environment, so they're probably all very kind of knackered by now. I'll just really quickly show you the power supply capacitors and bits and pieces that I'm going to replace. Are, oh, I shouldn't put that there, it's not this plugged in, but are just here. So we've got, if I pull the drawbridge back up, we've got these can capacitors here. What have we got there? There's a 50 microfarad, 50, 20, what's that say? 8? Maybe it's not one. So there's probably 3 there, and you can see that there is 450 volts. Tolerance. That one is 250 and that one's 250. I basically just replace all of them with 450 ones, because they're not massively expensive, and it's just easier just to buy them all the same voltage tolerance. So what I'll do is I'll leave these all in situ, but I'll disconnect the wires off of them in here, and then make a little sort of brace thing out of some old some of this sort of tag board stuff, and stick the capacitors on there, and then rewire them in so they're all working in the same way that they are at the moment. This thing does work, but it's just been in need of, it's just been sitting there coughing in all the dust, and I haven't actually used it for about 6 months, because when I was moving it around a while ago, the mains lead got snagged underneath it and pulled out, and that's not particularly safe. So I need to replace the mains lead and put a new one on there. That's about it, really. Just a very quick video on the Lowry DSO. I thought you'd like to see it with its clothes off. I am still going to be doing another video very, very soon, imminently, on the Gen carousel organ, but I just wanted to get this one done first. So anyway, like and subscribe and all that again. I thought I should just say thank you to the people who have currently subscribed, and also the people who have joined our members area. The extra funds come in very, very useful for things like this, for buying new scouring pads, and for buying the odd valve that goes here and there. Although valves tend not to go that much. I'm quite glad I don't have to buy an entire set of new valves for this one, because it might cost me £10 million. Good night.